Okay. Okay. I saw the creators Tony Statovci and Mike Cakes talking about Usopp, and I want to preface before all else that I understand. I completely understand because of the big three. I had been a Naruto fan primarily, and I had just recently caught up to One Piece. So, on both sides, I understand where they're coming from. This isn't some sort of interrogation of the sorts, but we're going to be looking at this point by point. All right.
And it bothers me, but it don't. But what really, really does bother me is Usopp. I can't like Usopp has become. He went from my favorite character in One Piece to like my least favorite character. Behind Frankie. I don't really care about Frankie.
I'm telling you, this is first of all, Usopp's had some cold moments. This is Usopp's.
Usopp has had 2 cold moments.
Okay, but they were very, very big.
I think it's perfectly fine for someone to not like Usopp, even if the reasonings are whatever, right? Like, really, who cares? But I do want to say this. Let's redefine what we mean by moments, or more so, I guess, get a better grasp of it. Because moments are most likely memorable or iconic moments where a character has truly defined themselves and set apart from everyone else, right? I do think there's an issue, though, because what people consider important is sometimes different for a lot of people. It's easy to know the ones that everyone takes note of, like, oh, hey, Zoro at the end of Thriller Bark. Oh, okay, cool. But how often do people think about, like Luffy listening to Vivi and respecting the people of Drum Island? It's a large moment for his character, but it isn't something that'll get highlighted often. I think once you categorize moments, a lot changes. But what are Usopp moments to me? Well, in Syrup Village, there was when he chose to play defense for everyone, right?
俺はウソップ海賊団のキャプテンで俺は勇敢なる海の戦士だ村の文字は指一本触れさせれ
Arlong Park, him fighting against Chu, that was a big one for me.
だから海へ出ようと決心したんだ俺も目いっぱい笑いたくて今ここで全力で戦わなかったらあいつらと同じ船に乗る資格なんてあるはずがねあいつらと本気で笑い合っていいはずがね
His fight against Mr. Four, the mole lady, while he's defending Luffy's dream, that was really cool. Him choosing to stick to his guns and fighting against Luffy in favor of the Mary might as well be 3 different moments because it involved the fight and then there was the whole crash out after that, but you get the idea. Then there's Usopp fighting against Frankie's house. That was huge. Soga King's introduction. Shoot down that flag. His fight against Perona. And I'd say everyone gets a moment when they see what happens to Luffy and Marineford. And that's just pre-time skip. Now, is there a frequency issue? I think of some of the things that are spaced out and how they won't happen in some arcs is one thing, but that's more so an overall writing choice rather than Usopp specific. Every arc has its focus, but sometimes you can just go a good amount of time without a core member really doing anything. And it's not limited to the Straw Hats. Tony said he likes Naruto, and using Naruto as an example, think of Orochimaru as a character. There isn't an antagonist in One Piece that's intertwined themselves so deeply in the story compared to him. Blackbeard is the closest thing, and he's been so far away from the Straw Hats narratively speaking. So I'd say I completely understand how it all looks. The other point had been,
Usopp does not have an excuse after Elbap. If Usopp is still a coward, if he's still a bitch, then like as a character, as a whole, bro, for 20 years you've been a bitch, I don't even fuck with you no more. I don't even want you a part of the crew no more. We are a Yonko crew. We are the literal big dogs. We are the biggest dogs of the sea. Okay? There is nobody that is better than us. What is bravery? It's not running from every single fight you've ever had as a pirate.
Usopp is a coward and hasn't shown much in character growth, doesn't contribute to all that. Okay. I'd say I disagree with basically like all 3 of these, but he is for sure right about one thing. Usopp is scared. That is very true. And it's so important to note that because with him being scared, he still chooses to fight anyways. So I disagree with the whole running away from fights parts, but he is scared, and that's great. Because how I see it, there's a tier list on how to approach things versus what counts as bravery. The best way to do is to do it without fear. The next best thing to do is to do it with fear. And the worst thing to do in this case is to not do it at all. As for what counts as bravery, well, I think this goes to what someone considers. I'd argue that being able to fight while scared takes more bravery than to fight with no fear at all. You essentially have to fight two battles: the fight that you're in, and fighting against everything in your body telling you to avoid this altogether. And when we talk about character development, what exactly do we mean? It's not just about changing, but about meaningful growth that impacts the story and characters' roles within it. Looking at Usopp, he's arguably one of the Straw Hats who's grown the most. Think about the other crew members, Zoro. Yeah, he's started as a cool sword guy and, he's still a cool sword guy. Is he trustworthy? Yeah. Does he do his job? Yes. Well, what else would you want to develop about Zoro? I think if we want to see Zoro come into contact with maybe tougher issues, this would help, But that's about it. That's if we wanted to have Zoro provoke some thought or set an example. But right now, we really just appreciate him being cool. What's next? Sanji? Sure, he had some big moments, but his core traits really haven't changed, both good and bad. And some might argue that they've gotten worse, like me, because I think that he had a huge setback in Wano. Now, Nami's development has been pretty limited since her early arcs. The closest that we've got to seeing her original character motivations was probably in Punk Hazard. After that, not much change. Frankie? He's consistent. That's about it. He does his job. We don't see much growth. You see the pattern? Oda writes characters to fulfill a specific role, not necessarily to change drastically. But Usopp, he's had significant changes compared to the rest of the crew. Usopp's journey has been about facing his fears and finding his place in the crew. He's gone from a village liar to a brave warrior of the sea, and even if he is still scared, he faces those fears consistently. That's real growth.
What does Usopp do?
And as for him not contributing much to the crew as a point, I don't really think that's fair. Genuinely speaking, when the Straw Hats are on a voyage, what is everyone doing? Zoro, training. Sanji, cooking. Robin, studying. Maybe chilling. Nami, actually leading where we're supposed to be going. Frankie, routinely checking up on the ship, fixing whatever he needs to, but because he's so efficient, he might just be steering. Brook? Morale? Music? Chopper? He's ready to do his job, but he'll just be hanging out. Jinbei? What would he be doing? And then you have Luffy and Usopp, where they might be doing the same thing, but at least Usopp has stuff that he can work on, like his artillery. Luffy is allowed to just chill and not do anything on the boat, but that's because we know that he's going to show up when needed. That goes the same for everyone. But Usopp is one of the more adaptable Straw Hats here, so getting on him for being a jack of a few trades, it's not really fair. Not every member needs to constantly be active to be valuable. What matters is being able to rise to the occasion when truly needed. And all of his big moments aren't meant to be funny, but I do know what Tony's referring to, and he's definitely not wrong on that, because One Piece is really heavy on comedic gags. Comedy is meant to be a power to an extent, as Oda had been largely inspired by Dragon Ball Toriyama, where something gets more powerful and more serious as it gets, but One Piece can show that you can go the other way and not being as serious and it still pays off. But those are just my thoughts on Usopp here. Now, don't think that this is about Tony only. I have nothing against Mike, but I am definitely going to make a different video for the whole Elbaf has to be Usopp's arc, because I do not subscribe to that concept anymore, especially considering Frankie and Egghead and Zoro and Wano, but that's for later. Remember to leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you want these videos out faster. But yeah,